The whistle's sharp cry cut through the crisp autumn air, and I froze, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. Coach Ethan's voice boomed across the field. "Hunter, stay after practice." Those words hit me like a linebacker, stealing my breath and leaving my legs shaky as I watched my teammates jog toward the locker room, their laughter fading into the dusk. I was alone now, standing on the empty football field of Westbridge High, the small-town heart of suburban Ohio. The stadium lights flickered on, casting long shadows over the grass, and I felt the weight of something unspoken pressing down on me. At 22, I was the star wide receiver, the guy everyone in this town pinned their hopes on for a shot at the state championship. But beneath the cheers and the playbook, I carried a secret that burned hotter than any game day adrenaline. I was gay, and in a place like Westbridge, that truth felt like a grenade with the pin half pulled. Coach Ethan approached, his silhouette sharp against the fading sunset. He was younger than most coaches, late 20s, with a quiet intensity that made you want to listen, to please him. His hazel eyes caught the light, and I swear they saw right through me. "Hunter," he said, his voice softened now, almost hesitant. "We need to talk." I swallowed hard, my mouth dry. "About what?" "Coach." My voice cracked, betraying the nerves twisting my gut. I'd always admired Ethan, his confidence, the way he commanded respect without raising his voice, the way his smile could make my chest tighten for reasons I didn't dare name. But now, standing just feet apart, I felt exposed, like he'd already guessed the parts of me I'd buried deep. He stepped closer, his sneakers scuffing the turf. "You've been off lately. Distracted. Dropping passes you'd normally catch blindfolded." His gaze held mine, searching, and I wanted to look away but couldn't. "What's going on with you?" I opened my mouth to lie, to say it was just school or stress. But the words stuck. The truth clawed at my throat, desperate to spill out. I'd spent years hiding who I was, smiling for the crowd, dating girls I felt nothing for, all to keep Westbridge's golden boy image intact. But Ethan's eyes, they weren't judging. They were patient, like he was waiting for me to trust him. "I'm fine," I muttered, shoving my hands into my jacket pockets. The lie tasted bitter, and I hated how small it made me feel. Ethan didn't buy it. He tilted his head, his expression softening, and for a moment, I thought I saw something flicker in his eyes, something that mirrored the chaos in my chest. "Hunter," he said, his voice low, almost a whisper. "You don't have to pretend with me." Those words hit like a spark to dry tinder, and my heart raced. Did he know? Had he seen the way I lingered in the locker room, stealing glances when I thought no one noticed? Or was this just coach talk, meant to pull me out of a slump? Before I could respond, he took another step, close enough that I could smell the faint cedar of his cologne. "I see you, Hunter," he said, and my breath caught. Not just the player, the person. "And I know you're carrying something heavy." His hand hovered, like he wanted to reach out, but he let it fall back to his side. "You can tell me." My pulse thundered in my ears. The field, the lights, the world, it all blurred until it was just me and him. I wanted to tell him everything, to let the truth pour out, but fear clamped down hard. What if I was wrong about him? What if I ruined everything? My place on the team, my future, the fragile life I'd built here? "I don't know what you're talking about," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. But my eyes betrayed me, locked on his, and I saw the way his lips parted, like he was wrestling with something too. Ethan exhaled, running a hand through his short, sandy hair. "All right," he said, stepping back, giving me space I didn't want. "But when you're ready to talk, I'm here." No judgment. He paused, his gaze lingering. "You're not alone, Hunter." Those words stayed with me as I trudged to the locker room, my cleats heavy against the turf. I didn't know what he meant, not yet, but they echoed in my chest, stirring something I tried to bury for years. As I changed in the empty locker room, the silence felt louder than the crowd on game day. I wasn't alone. But what did that mean when the person I wanted to open up to was my coach, the one man I couldn't afford to feel this way about? The next week was a blur of practices and sleepless nights. Ethan's words haunted me, looping in my mind like a song I couldn't shake. "You're not alone." Every time I saw him on the field, barking orders or clapping me on the shoulder after a good catch, my stomach twisted with a mix of hope and dread. Westbridge was small, the kind of town where everyone knew your business before you did. I'd grown up here, running through cornfields and dreaming of the NFL. But the weight of expectations had grown heavier each year. My dad, a former linebacker, expected me to carry the family legacy. My friends expected the cocky, charming Hunter who always had a girlfriend on his arm. But the real me, the one who felt a jolt every time Ethan's hand brushed mine, was a stranger to them all. During Thursday's practice, I fumbled a pass, the ball slipping through my fingers like my focus. Ethan blew the whistle, his voice sharp. "Hunter, get your head in the game." I nodded, jaw tight, but my eyes lingered on him too long. Jake, my best friend and the team's quarterback, nudged me as we lined up again. "What's with you? Man, you're acting weird." "Nothing," I snapped. "Too quick." Jake raised an eyebrow, but let it go. I hated lying to him. But how could I explain that every time Ethan looked at me, I felt like I was drowning and flying all at once? After practice, I lingered in the locker room, hoping Ethan would call me back again. He didn't. Instead, he caught my eye as he packed up his clipboard, his expression unreadable. "Good work today," he said, but there was a question in his voice, like he was waiting for me to say something more. I just nodded and grabbed my bag, my chest aching with words I couldn't form. That night, I drove to the edge of town, where the old water tower stood like a sentinel over Westbridge. It was my spot, the place I went when the world felt too small. I climbed the rickety ladder, settling on the platform with my legs dangling over the edge. The stars were bright, and the cool night air steadied my racing thoughts. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through old photos, team shots, prom with my ex, Sarah, who'd been sweet but never made my heart race. Then I stopped on a candid from last month's game, Ethan grinning as he high-fived me after a touchdown. My thumb hovered over his face, and I hated how much I wanted to know what he'd meant that day on the field. The next morning, I found Ethan in his office before school, the small room tucked behind the gym cluttered with playbooks and trophies. He looked up from his desk, surprised. "Hunter, you're early." I shifted, my hand stuffed in my hoodie. "Can we talk?" The words felt like jumping off a cliff. He gestured to the chair across from him, and I sat, my knee bouncing nervously. "What's up?" he asked, his tone gentle but direct. I stared at the floor, the weight of my secret pressing down. I'd rehearsed this moment 100 times, but now, with his eyes on me, I felt like a kid again, scared and small. I'm struggling, I started, my voice barely audible. With who I am. My heart hammered, and I forced myself to look up. Ethan's face was calm, but his eyes were intense, like he was hanging on every word. Go on, he said softly. I took a shaky breath. I'm not who everyone thinks I am. I've been pretending for so long, and it's killing me. The words spilled out, raw and unsteady. I'm gay, coach, and I don't know how to deal with it in a place like this. The silence that followed was deafening. I braced for judgment, for disappointment, but Ethan leaned forward, his voice steady. Hunter, thank you for telling me. That takes guts. He paused, his eyes warm. You don't have to hide from me. Ever. Relief flooded me, but it was tinged with fear. I'd said it out loud, and there was no taking it back. But Ethan's acceptance felt like a lifeline, pulling me from a dark. How do I do this? I asked, my voice breaking. How do I live like this here? He leaned back, his expression thoughtful. One step at a time. You don't have to tell the world today. But you've got people who care about you, more than you think. His gaze held mine, and for a moment, I wondered if he meant himself. As I left his office, my chest felt lighter, but new questions burned. Ethan knew my truth now. But what did that mean for us? For the team? And why did his words make my heart race in a way that felt dangerous and thrilling all at once? The weeks that followed were a tightrope walk. Telling Ethan had cracked open a door I'd kept locked for years, but also left me raw, like I'd shed a layer of skin. I threw myself into practice, catching every pass, running every route with precision, as if I could outrun my own thoughts. But Ethan's presence was a constant pull, his encouragement laced with something deeper, something I couldn't name. Westbridge was buzzing with excitement for the upcoming game against our rivals, the Clearview Hawks. The town's pride rested on our shoulders, and the pressure was suffocating. My dad called daily, his voice brimming with expectations. You're going to make us proud. Son, he'd say, oblivious to the storm inside me. I wanted to make him proud, but I also wanted to be free. During a late practice, Ethan paired me with Jake for a two-man drill. Jake's throws were sharp, but his questions were sharper. You and Coach been talking a lot lately, he said, tossing the ball. What's that about? I caught it. My grip tight. Just strategy, I lied, hating how easily the words came. Jake didn't push, but his eyes lingered, like he sensed I was holding back. After practice, Ethan called me over again. The field was empty, the air heavy with the scent of grass and sweat. You're playing better, he said, a small smile tugging at his lips. But you're still holding back. Not on the field. In here. He tapped his chest, and my breath hitched. I wanted to argue, to say he was wrong, but the truth was I was terrified. Telling him I was gay was one thing. Admitting how I felt about him was another. I'm trying, I said, my voice low. It's just hard. Ethan nodded, his expression softening. I get it. More than you know. He hesitated, then added, when I was your age, I was in your shoes. Hiding. Afraid. It gets better. Hunter. But only if you let yourself be honest. My heart stopped. Was he saying what I thought he was? Before I could ask, he clapped me on the shoulder, the touch electric. Keep pushing, he said, then walked away, leaving me reeling. That night, I couldn't sleep. Ethan's words echoed, more than you know. Did he mean he was gay too? The thought sent a thrill through me, but it was tangled with fear. He was my coach, my mentor. Crossing that line could ruin everything. The next day, I saw him in the gym, lifting weights with the same quiet focus he brought to everything. His black polo hugged his frame, and I caught myself staring, my pulse quickening. He glanced up, catching my eye, and for a moment, the air crackled with unspoken tension. I turned away, my face burning, and threw myself into my workout, desperate to drown out the longing. At the game against Clearview, I played like my life depended on it, scoring 2 touchdowns and earning a roar from the crowd. But as I jogged off the field, it was Ethan's proud nod that I craved. After the game, he pulled me aside in the locker room, his voice low. "You were incredible out there, but you don't have to prove anything to me. Hunter, you're enough as you are." His words hit like a wave, washing away the noise of the crowd. I wanted to tell him how much he meant to me, how his belief in me was the only thing keeping me grounded. But before I could speak, Jake burst in, slapping my back. "Man, you killed it." The moment was gone, but Ethan's eyes lingered, promising we weren't done. As I drove home, my mind raced. Ethan saw me, the real me, and that terrified me as much as it thrilled me. I was falling for him, and the line between coach and something more was blurring fast. But in a town like Westbridge, where secrets spread like wildfire, how could I risk it all for a chance at something real? The air grew colder as November settled over Westbridge, the leaves crunching underfoot like the weight of my unspoken feelings. Practice was relentless, the state championship looming, but my focus kept drifting to Ethan. Every glance, every word from him felt like a thread pulling me closer to a truth I wasn't ready to face. One evening, after a grueling practice, I stayed late to help stack equipment, hoping for a moment alone with him. The gym was quiet, the fluorescent lights buzzing softly. Ethan was there, organizing cones, his sleeves rolled up to reveal strong forearms. I caught myself staring again, my heart a traitor. "Need a hand?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. He looked up, a small smile breaking through. "Sure." "Grab those mats." We worked in silence for a while, the rhythm of it comforting. But the tension between us was a live wire, humming with possibility. As we finished, he leaned against the wall, wiping sweat from his brow. "You're different lately," he said, his voice thoughtful. "Braver." "I see it." I froze, my hands gripping a mat. "Braver how?" He stepped closer, his eyes searching mine. "You're letting yourself show. The real you." "It's beautiful." The word hung between us, heavy and electric. My breath caught, and for a moment, I thought he might close the distance, might touch me in a way that wasn't just a coach's pat on the back. But he didn't. Instead, he looked away, his jaw tight. "Hunter, I need to be honest with you." His voice was low, strained. "I've been where you are. Scared to be myself. I'm gay, too, and I've spent years keeping that quiet to protect my career, my life here." The world tilted. I'd suspected, hoped, but hearing it was like a dam breaking. I couldn't finish, my voice lost in the rush of emotions. He nodded, his expression raw. "I see you struggling, and it kills me because I know how it feels. but I also see how strong you are. Hunter. Stronger than I was. I stepped closer, my heart pounding. Why are you telling me this? He met my gaze, and the vulnerability in his eyes stole my breath. Because you deserve to know you're not alone. And because he hesitated, then whispered, I care about you. More than I should. The confession hit like a lightning bolt, searing and exhilarating. I wanted to reach for him, to close the gap, but fear held me back. He was my coach. This was dangerous for both of us. What do we do? I asked, my voice trembling. He shook his head, a sad smile tugging at his lips. I don't know. But we cannot hear. Not now. The words stung, but his eyes said something else, something that kept hope alive. The next few days were torture. I couldn't focus, couldn't sleep. Ethan's confession replayed in my mind, each word a spark to the fire growing inside me. I caught him watching me during practice, his gaze heavy with unspoken longing. But he kept his distance, professional as ever, and it drove me crazy. At home, the pressure mounted. My dad cornered me one night, his voice gruff. You're distracted. Hunter. Whatever it is, fix it. The team's counting on you. I nodded, my throat tight, but all I could think about was Ethan, his words, his eyes, the way he made me feel seen. By the time the next game rolled around, I was a mess of nerves and desire. We won, but barely, and Ethan's post-game talk was clipped, his eyes avoiding mine. Afterward, in the locker room, I couldn't take it anymore. I waited until everyone left, then found him in his office. Ethan, I said, my voice raw. We need to talk about this. About us. He looked up, his face a storm of emotions. Hunter, we can't. You know why, but I was done hiding. I stepped closer, my heart in my throat. I'm falling for you, I said, the words spilling out like a confession. And I think you feel it too. For a moment, he didn't move, didn't breathe. Then he stood, closing the distance between us, his hand brushing mine. You have no idea, he whispered, and the world fell away. His touch was a spark, igniting every nerve in my body. Ethan's hand lingered on mine, his fingers warm and steady. And for the first time, I felt like I could breathe. But the moment was fleeting. He pulled back, his face torn between desire and restraint. Hunter, he said, his voice rough. This could ruin everything. For you. For me. You're my player. I'm your coach. I don't care, I said, reckless and desperate. I've spent my whole life pretending. I can't do it anymore, not with you. My voice broke, and I saw the conflict in his eyes, the same war I'd been fighting for weeks. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing the small office. You think I don't want this? You think I haven't thought about you every damn day? His words hit like a punch, raw and honest. But if anyone finds out, it's over. My job, your scholarship, everything. I stepped closer, refusing to let him retreat. Then we'll be careful. But I can't keep acting like this doesn't exist. I reached for his hand again, and this time, he didn't pull away. His thumb brushed over my knuckles, and the simple gesture sent my heart racing. For a moment, we just stood there, the world outside his office fading away. Then he leaned in, his forehead resting against mine, his breath warm on my skin. You're trouble. Hunter, he murmured, but there was a smile in his voice. And you're worth it, I whispered back. The next few weeks were a secret dance of stolen moments, brushing hands in the equipment room, lingering looks during practice, quiet talks after everyone else had gone. We were careful, painfully so, but every touch, every word, felt like a rebellion against the world that demanded we hide. Westbridge was gearing up for the state championship, and the pressure was relentless. My teammates noticed my distraction, but I brushed it off with jokes and charm. Jake, though, wasn't fooled. One night, as we grabbed burgers at the local diner, he leaned across the table, his eyes narrowing. You're hiding something, Hunter. And don't give me that I'm fine crap. I froze, my fries halfway to my mouth. It's nothing, I said, but my voice was too tight. Jake didn't push, but the suspicion in his eyes lingered, a warning that our secret wasn't as safe as we thought. At home, my dad's pride in me was suffocating. He talked endlessly about scouts, about my future, oblivious to the fact that I was falling apart. I wanted to tell him, to tell everyone, but the thought of losing his respect, or worse, Ethan, kept me silent. One night, after a particularly intense practice, Ethan asked me to meet him at the water tower. It was risky, but I couldn't say no. Under the stars, he pulled me close, his arms strong and sure. I've never felt like this, he admitted, his voice low. But I'm scared. Hunter. Scared of what this could cost us. I kissed him then, soft and tentative, my heart pounding so loud I thought the whole town could hear. He kissed me back, and for a moment, the fear melted away. It was just us, two people finding something real in a world that wanted to keep us apart. But the next day, everything changed. I was in the locker room, lacing up my cleats, when Jay cornered me, his face dark. I saw you, he said, his voice low and angry. Last night, at the water tower, with Coach, my blood ran cold. Jake, it's not. Don't lie to me, he snapped. I saw you too. What the hell? Hunter? He's our coach. His voice was a mix of shock and betrayal, and I felt the ground shift beneath me. Keep it down, I hissed, glancing around. The locker room was empty, but my heart was racing. It's not what you think. Then explain it, he demanded, crossing his arms. Because right now, it looks like you're throwing everything away for what? I wanted to tell him the truth, to make him understand, but the words wouldn't come. All I could see was the disgust in his eyes, the same disgust I'd feared my whole life. Please, I said, my voice breaking. Don't tell anyone. Jake shook his head, backing away. I don't even know who you are anymore. And with that, he was gone, leaving me trembling in the empty locker room, the weight of our secret heavier than ever. The days before the state championship were a nightmare. Jake's silence was deafening. He didn't tell anyone, but he barely spoke to me, his passes to me on the field sharp and impersonal. The team noticed the tension, and rumors started swirling. Whispers about why the star quarterback and wide receiver were off. I felt like I was unraveling, caught between the love I'd found with Ethan and the life I'd built in Westbridge. Ethan sensed it too. During practice, he kept his distance, his professionalism a shield, but I saw the worry in his eyes. After one session, he pulled me aside in the equipment room, his voice urgent. What's going on with you and Jake? He's acting like you stole his car. I told him everything, my voice shaking as I recounted Jake's words at the water tower. Ethan's face paled, but he took my hand, his grip firm. We'll figure this out, he said. But we have to be careful. If this gets out, it's over for me. I nodded, but the fear was suffocating. I couldn't lose him, but I couldn't lose my team, my family, my future. That night, I climbed the water tower again, staring at the lights of Westbridge, searching for answers in the dark. The championship game was electric, the stands packed with screaming fans. I played like my life depended on it, catching every pass Jake threw, but his eyes were cold, distant. We won, 28-24, and the crowd erupted, but the victory felt hollow. As we celebrated, Jake pulled me aside, his voice low. I'm not going to out you, he said, his jaw tight. But it's messed up. Hunter. Fix it. His words were a lifeline and a warning. I nodded, unable to speak, and watched him walk away. That night, at the team party, I slipped out early, finding Ethan waiting by his car in the school parking lot. We need to talk, I said, my heart in my throat. We drove to a quiet spot by the river, the moonlight silver on the water. I can't keep hiding, I said, my voice raw. I love you, Ethan, but I'm losing everything trying to keep this secret. He took my face in his hands, his eyes fierce. I love you too, he said, the words a vow. And I'm done letting fear win. I'll resign if I have to. We'll find a way. Tears stung my eyes, but they were tears of relief, of hope. We kissed, slow and deep, the world fading until it was just us. The next day, Ethan told the school board he was stepping down, citing personal reasons. The news hit the team hard, but he promised me he'd stay in Westbridge, that we'd face whatever came together. I told my dad the truth a week later, my heart pounding as I sat across from him at the kitchen table. His silence was heavy, but he didn't yell, didn't walk away. You're my son, he said finally, his voice rough. I don't understand it, but I'm not losing you over this. Westbridge wasn't ready for us. Not fully, but with Ethan by my side, I felt brave enough to face it. We moved slowly, building a life in the shadows of a small town, finding joy in quiet moments, a shared coffee, a late-night drive, a hand held under the stars. The world didn't change overnight, but we did, and that was enough. Our love wasn't a revolution, but it was ours, hard-won and fiercely real. And as I looked at Ethan, his smile warm in the morning light, I knew that trembling on that football field had led me to something worth fighting for, a life where I could finally be me.